What's up YouTube? My name is John Brahman of Crusoe Design Co. And in this video, I'm going to be showing you top down or overhead camera shooting so that you're shooting an iPad, kind of like I have set up right here behind me. And I will be taking this camera that I'm talking into and putting it onto this rig. And I'll explain the whole situation that I have here. This is my behind the scenes for this year. It's something I'm probably going to be changing a lot because I like to tweak these sort of things. So let's take a look at what's set up over here first. All right, so let's grab this thing here. There we go. So this is my current setup and my current rig. So basically what I have here is, this is I believe it's called Neewer. How you pronounce that? So this is the Neewer Arm. I'm going to link everything in the description below. And I have that. It's actually pretty sturdy. It's pretty nice. It's very adjustable. And I have it just put on this kind of cheaper arm that I could find that would attach to my desk. Here, as you can see, I've got quite a mess going on. But it just tightens to the desk here like this, no screws or anything necessary. Again, just off Amazon that were pretty cheap. Of course, you can set this up even cheaper if you want, but I kind of like to have like a rigid, long-term, useful setup. So I went a little bit, I spent a few dollars, not anything too expensive. I do have this bag here, and this is not a special weight bag or anything like that. It's actually just a toolie bag that I use to hold like USB and tons of different cords. I just kind of put random things that I could find in there that were heavy enough to sort of pull this down when I have my camera on here. So here's the next part. This is the Neewer. It's just this weird clamp thing you can see here, and it just tightens. And the reason why I did this is a big bolt. I think this is a 1/4 inch bolt on the end here, so you can't directly plug in a camera right into this. What you could do, hang on. If we go into my drawer of goodies here, is I had this setup. So basically I had this tightening all the way here, and I had to use a bunch of bits, and then I would get down to, I guess what, I think it's an 1/8. So I think it's an 1/8 of an inch or something, whatever this normal kind of thread is for a camera. So that way I did have my camera plugged in directly like this, but the problem was now my camera was basically aimed this way, and I wanted it to be aimed this way, of course, at my iPad, as you can see here. So I wanted it like this and not like that. So that meant that I kind of had to come up with a new solution in order to hold my camera the way I wanted to. But what I did next was I took in my bag of tricks again, basically had one of these. I don't know exactly what this is called, but it basically has the normal connector at the bottom, and it's sitting on a ball so that you can tilt the ball and angle it any way you want. So essentially what I did is I turned the ball sideways, I tightened that as much as I could, and then onto that connector, I had this thing plugged in here and plugged in like this, and now my camera was looking down. So ideally I wanted it this way so I could just flip up the monitor on my camera and actually see what I was doing the right side up. But the problem is the weight of the camera just caused this to loosen, because the left loosens the whole thing from the base. So I had to do it this way, which I did film an entire class with the camera basically upside down, but that was inconvenient. So I have a new solution. So basically that's why I'm using this Neewer clamp here that I already had. I used it just to clamp to some poles. So I got that clamped, and then I have this funny little arm that threads right into the back of it. And then it also kind of has a thread here. So this is now where I can plug my camera into. And this pole here actually came with this light, which is once again a Neewer light. You're seeing a sort of a trend here. The reason why I buy all these Neewer products, and I don't even know how to pronounce the name, is basically they're inexpensive, but they seem to be pretty good quality. I'm getting all of these on Amazon. It's kind of like an Amazon brand, I think. So now I'm going to plug the camera in here. We're going to switch over to the lower quality iPhone, and I'll show you what I've got for my setup. Oh wait, hey, hang on, wait. Be sure, please, it only takes a second. Hit subscribe, hit that like button. It helps a ton. I don't have very many followers. I don't have a big thing on this whole YouTube world. And it takes a lot of time to make videos like this, even that are kind of half-assed put together, like this one. So if you want to keep seeing more videos like this, definitely hit subscribe, hit like, comment, all that good stuff. All right, we'll get back to the video. Sorry. This is a Sony a6400 mirrorless camera, and this is a Rode VideoMic Pro NTG, I think. It's the one with the USB-C. So the great thing about this is I can plug it into the camera and use it here, but I can also just plug it into my Mac and use it for voiceover. So it's a really versatile microphone, and it seems to be working just like this. So I didn't have to move that around. I found that it caught my voice because my audio was kind of traveling this way, and it's hitting it nice, even though it would be ideal from here. Eventually, I do want to kind of add some soundproofing. But anyways, this is the next setup. So now you can see that I've got this grid here so that I can kind of make sure that my iPad is actually centered in it and kind of mess with it like that. So the next problem I was having here is that I have manual focus on, which seems to work a little bit better for this kind of thing. And because I was teaching a brush class, what I would do is I would open my brush library right here, and I would try and make sure I have like this peaking on so that it turns red so I can really see. But the problem is sometimes it'll look like it's focused, but because it's so finicky right there, I would just assume it's focused, and I recorded like a bunch of my class without actually knowing that it was wrong. It wasn't totally focused. This letters was blurry, so I had to re-record the whole thing. So for this portion, here's my setup. I actually had a light over here, so I'm going to turn this guy off. So I had this light on. It's kind of just my normal desk light. This light didn't need to be on. This is my rim light when I'm filming talking head. And then I did have this light here, once again, a Neewer light. And right now I have this kind of overhead light on. And then lastly, I have like this cheap IKEA light. So that's all the lights that I had on. And then this guy, this Neewer, adds a cool sort of glow to my hands. It really kind of lightens up my actual hands. I'll show you that in just a second. But like I said, the main thing is I couldn't really figure out what this whole setup is. Not only do I have a monitor here, which I could use, I actually have a second monitor that used to be my wife's that she doesn't use. So I bought this cheap cord on Amazon, recurring theme, and this changed the game. Check this out. Let's see if we can make this work. It's going to be awkward with one hand, but just plugging that in like that. Wrap this around, and then I will awkwardly try and plug this in. Okay. Okay, boom. So that's now plugged in. So now all I have to do is turn this guy on, and you will see a dramatic difference. Now I can really see what I'm doing. Of course, you're dealing with this shadow here, but now I can really see what I'm looking at. And I can see, I don't know if you can see, that these letters are actually readable. So before, like I said, I had them like, basically they're kind of in that range where it's like, they're readable, but I couldn't see them clearly, and that really pissed me off. So with this, I can now really dial it in and make sure everything is super legible. So now the main nice thing is, I'll unplug my thing. I had cord here plugged in. That way it's always charging, because, you know, that's ideal. You don't want to run out of batteries while you're filming. And now, like I said, I've got this main light. I do have a kind of a strip light, but it's really unnecessary. It's just already there. I got this light, and then I've got those two lights behind me. And that was getting a really nice like glow on my hands. So I'll show you what this actually looks like in camera right now. Oh yeah, something I also just forgot to mention. I have this little pink level of my wife's. Super useful if you can get a small little level, because this rig, things can move around and wiggle around, especially each time you use it. So this way I can kind of quickly take the level and hold it up to the lens. You can see it's totally not level. And then I could do it the other way and it's totally not level. But when I have two hands and I put this camera down, then I will make sure that it's completely level. And that way it lines up nicely with the grid. I could tell because at this point it would be higher. Like basically it was so crooked, I could tell in the grid. So I'll fix that and then we'll show you in camera. Okay, so here is the setup. So as you can see, basically the main thing is having this nice light at the front if you can. Because mine's so close to the wall, I actually angled the light pretty bright at the wall. But having a light source on the top, I found just made it really nice because it's adding a nice glow along the iPad. I've got some objects here just kind of for visual interest, and it's adding a nice kind of rim light against them. You can see here. And also it's adding a nice light on my hands, I found. So having that light is pretty cool. I'm using that as a pretty white light, so it's a pretty high Kelvin. And that way it's a nice white light. And then behind me, I've got kind of the warm light. So I like to have kind of a combination of cool and warm if I can. And I found that this looked really nicely. Now, so I did have to mess around a little bit with the lighting on the iPad. What I found in general is to take this lightness bar here and kind of put it so it's just above the little sun icon kind of thing, somewhere just above there. So that way it's still nice and bright and white and you can see everything, you can read everything. So the only trouble I was having is I had my lightness a bit too high. So when I was drawing kind of light lines, it wasn't showing up very well on the camera. And that was kind of problematic because when you're drawing, you want to be able to kind of see everything. This is really close right now. So I find this brightness to be really good. So the main thing that's noticeable is that when you're using your iPad screen recorder, so I'm running the screen recorder separately, so I could kind of temporarily show you this, and then I could cut to the actual screen, what's happening on the screen, and like sort of take away all this distraction. But I find that this looks cooler. I like the look. I like being able to see hands point to things. I find this to be a lot more engaging than just looking at a digital screen all the time, because especially on the iPad, unlike your Mac or your computer, you can't see the cursor moving around. There's little tricks you can do, but that's what I had. So this is my setup. I really love it. I think it looks cool. Let me know what you think. Okay, so the next problem I was having, because, may as well have every problem possible, while I was recording my newest Skillshare class, which is all about using the Brush Studio in Procreate, I would start filming it, and not only does Procreate have its own time-lapse thing, that's kind of cool to have, especially if you just want to show your art. It's not so great for live instruction and stuff because it's not recording, every move and everything. Is I was using the actual built-in recorder on the iPad. It has a little recorder. All you do is, well, here, I'll show you. So normally what you want to do when you're screen recording is you go to your settings, you open up Control Center, and you make sure that you have screen recording. So if it's not here, let's say I remove it, it will show down in this list. So you find it, simply hit that plus, and now it should be showing up in your Control Center. So let's switch back to Procreate. So in order to bring up your Control Center, you pull down from this top corner. Sometimes you'll accidentally paint. Anyways, and then you have this record button. But my problem that I was having is normally you hit it, you get 3, 2, 1, you can close this, and now you can start recording. And then generally every move you make on your iPad is being filmed. The whole thing, not just Procreate, but every move you make. So if you minimize things, blow it back up, open a different app, everything is being recorded in that nice little recorder. But the problem I was having right now, it actually is still recording, would be that I'd get a few minutes into it and then this damn thing would stop recording for absolutely no reason. I had tons of space. I could not for the life of me figure out the problem. So what I ended up doing, we'll go ahead and stop that there, is I ended up having to buy a third-party app, and I found this one called Record It. So definitely not sponsored. I don't know anything about this app, but it worked pretty well for my purposes. And it was a lifesaver when I couldn't get the built-in iPad to actually record. Because again, I really like the idea of being able to kind of switch back and forth from in-camera to on my screen. So I'll show you basically what I mean by that. So I'll click record here. I do want to save it to my photos, turn my microphone on. That helps me sync my audio and video real quickly. And then I click start recording. And the reason why I like to be able to record both in my actual camera and in the iPad is that at any point, if I want to, I can simply be drawing here and I can switch back and forth between my actual camera. So you can see my hand drawing, and switch between the digital version where you can only see the image from the actual iPad. The only issue really with that is that in the actual iPad, the screen resolution or the aspect ratio of an iPad is different from your television screen or from kind of what's normal. So the problem is that generally you have to kind of figure out ways to get around that. One would be to actually blow up the image, and you're kind of cutting off the bottom part of the sort of iPad screen. Or another way would be to have it fit kind of in the middle and then kind of add some blurred version of the video on the outside edges. But that's how you get around that. Anyway, please let me know what you think of this. There you go. That's my setup. Actually, you know what? I'm going to switch to this camera. Hold on one second. So there you go. That's my whole setup. I hope you think it's cool. I would really love to know what you think about it. And let me just get up here and put this thing back on the tripod for a second. Gotta put this little clamp back on because I had it attached to my screen. Oh, all right. All right, there we go. Okay, got this set up back. So there you have it. I hope you found that pretty interesting. This one was kind of loose. I didn't have a real good script or plan. This is just, quick. I just thought it would be kind of cool to put this kind of idea together and see if it's something that anyone has any interest in, because I sure have interest in it, but I had a really hard time finding information. So I kind of had to just figure things out myself. If you have a better way to rig things, if you have better settings, better ideas, or any questions, please leave them in the comments below. Definitely make sure to subscribe. I'm going to be making lots of different videos. I'm actually planning to do kind of a 1930s illustration series. So yeah, if you like graphic design, video related, any kind of Adobe software thing, Procreate, any of that kind of stuff, you'll find more of that here on this channel. Again, thank you so much. Let me know if you found this interesting, and maybe I'll make more. Maybe on how to actually do this kind of setup, which seems to change a lot. All right, see you later. Bye-bye. Jeez, look at these bags under my eyes. Can you tell that I have a baby at home? Yikes.